Hey guys, in this video we'll be continuing with the Python video tutorials. We'll be going over, we'll be working with file operations again in pycharm. We'll be referring to the last program that we made. If you haven't seen that video, it's in the playlist, so it'll be something titled file operations, maybe appending file operations. So check that out if you haven't seen that one. So in this video we're going to be just showing the record, so we'll probably just be reading the file and gathering some data from the file. So I'll probably just I'll erase this bit of code and then we'll start again. So we'll just start in the main function again. So we'll just say def main here. So we'll have in we'll say input file this time because we're reading from the file. So we'll say input file points to the open method. No, sorry, function. So here we'll reference the file. I'll use a file path. I'll use a Windows file path. So once again, you can use the file path that is for your machine. So if you're using a Unix machine, Mac or Linux, you'll have to use your specified path. So I'll use my path. To reference the file. I think in Mac, again in Mac or Linux, you may have one of these slashes, or this slash or the backward slash, either one or two of those. So you can try it out or Google it if you're stuck. So here we'll have a variable called description. So we'll say description points to our input file dot read line, so we'll read the first line in the file. So here we'll have a while description does not equal anything. So while description is not empty, actually, basically that's all it's saying. So we'll loop there. We'll have a loop, and then here we'll say that the quantity points to casted float to the input file dot read line. So we're going to extract that data as a float. Remember that's a method here, so we'll include the parameters. And here we'll say we'll strip the new lines here, so we have quantity. Underneath we'll have description dot. We'll say description actually points to description dot r strip. So So we'll try to take the new line out. And then here we'll display the record. So we'll just display the data. So we'll say print. We'll print the description. Actually, sorry. Actually, yeah, that's fine. So we'll print a description string. We'll space that, add a comma, pass in the variable. So we'll pass in description. And we'll do the same for quantity. We'll write a quantity string, then we'll pass in quantity. Then we'll read the next description, so we'll say description points to input file dot read line again. And then we will probably get out of the loop at that point. We'll close the file, so we'll say input file dot close, and then we'll get out of the main function and we'll call main. So let's try that. We'll save and run it. Alright, something happened here. Cannot convert string to float. Line 5. Let me check that. So quantity casted to, I think it was an int, wasn't it not? So we can try it. So while description does not equal an empty string, then we will proceed into the loop and we'll say a quantity variable points to float casted to input.read line. Cannot convert string to float. Perhaps. Okay, you know what? I think I know what the problem is. We have that one extra line in the text where we said I think so. We had that one extra line where we just said this is a coffee file, or sorry, this is a tea file. So here we'll say maybe go file description. Then here we'll call description again. Points to input file dot read line. We'll try that. Save and run. Nope. Oh, you know what? This file is actually full of stuff. So Yeah, I think the original file is actually full of stuff, and I deleted that code. Okay, so what we can do is we can what can we do? We can look for, actually I might have to write the file again. In that case, well, what we could do is we could say, let's just say we don't want to cast it to a float. Let's just try that. Let's try that, run it, see what we have here. So we have some data, and it's going to be a lot of random stuff too. So we have some other stuff here from previous videos in that file.txt. We also have, so this is where our T file starts. There's a little bit of discrepancies here, but you guys get the idea. We're accessing the file of text. We have our T data here that we printed earlier, and now we accessed it by readline. So we use the readline method to access it again with some extra stuff in the file from a previous video, or from previous videos since we started the file operation stuff. So anyways, just to summarize this video, we access the file with the file object. We open the file. Actually, you know what? We didn't call the read. Apologize. We didn't call the read mode here. So I'm not sure if that would have had any effect. We could just check. It might have automatically opened in read mode as well. I think that's what it did. So it automatically opened in read mode. That had no effect. So we open the use a file object, open the file. We created a file description to point to some extra data. Then we created our description to point to the next. So this is line by line, so it's going to search every time we call the readline method. It's going to search our file line by line. So this grabs one line, then the next time we call it, it grabs the next new line of text. Then here, while we're checking, okay, well, while description got something from the file and that text is not an empty string, we're going to proceed into this loop. We're going to say, okay, we want to create a variable quantity on the fly here. We're going to point it to our file object.readline, so it's going to get the next line below the line that we previously got, which was here. So it gets some more data, saves it, strips the new line, then it prints the data and prints the quantity. So we may be able to just call, let's see what we have again. Alright, so one, two, three, four, five. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this maybe 6 times or 4 times. So let's try 4 times. Let's paste this line 4 times. Code reuse. Let's try that. See if we get anything. Okay, 6 times, maybe 6 or 7 times. So let's try that. Twice more. Save and run. Here we go. So we got, there we go. So this is what we were looking for, our T file. So what I did there is I actually decided to read over the extra data in the file. So as you can see, we read over the extra data in the file. We skipped the strings in the file that we didn't want using the readline method. So that just skipped over the extra stuff that we didn't want, which helped us get to the line that we want. So all I did is I counted the spaces. I counted the spaces away from where we wanted to start accessing the data. I included this as a space, I believe. So you can try with or without an extra space in between. So this, let's just say this is either 2 lines or 3 lines. So it's either 2 lines of a string of different strings, or three lines with this extra empty line here. So you can test with either 2 or 3. In that case it was 4 or 6 or 7, so you could try all of them. Eventually, trial and error, get to the data, which is what we did. And then here we loop through, and you know what happened from there because I've already explained it. We could set a breakpoint here. So I can set a breakpoint here in main. I can save it. And I can click the debug icon at the top right corner of pycharm. We can also walk through this file. So we'll step in here. So it's going to step into the main function. It's going to create our file path, or file object with the path. There's our data in the variables. Section of the debugger. Now it's going to point, its file description is going to point to certain strings. As you can see, it says file description points to code. Excuse me, I'll step over. Then this new string, some number. Then science, step over. Invest, step over. Some number, step over. Science, step over. Description. Now we got our red T for our description. So it's going to say, okay, well we have something. So while description does not equal to an empty string, which is true because description is not an empty string, it is the string red T, which is not empty. We'll step in. Now the quantity is going to point to the next line in the file. That is some large number, 10 million or something. Now we have description points to description.rstrip, so it's going to take the new line out. Now it's going to print the description. So I'm going to step over. Now if I click on the console, we have our description here. Sorry, I can't make those variables any bigger. Only this I can make bigger. These I can't. So we'll step over again. Console, it was printed the description and the quantity. We'll step over, it's going to get the next description in the file, which is, so the next line is going to be saved to description. I'm going to step over. I'm going to click the debug button, which is step over. It's now, description is going to now point to camel meal, and the process is going to complete, it's going to execute again. So this loop is going to continue until it is false, or it's going to continue until basically when the description is equal to nothing, which means that there's nothing left in the file. An empty string in that case. So right now we still have a string. So we can step over, step over, step over, step over. Check, we have more data now. Debugger, now it says description points to green T, so it still has something. So it's still true. It's going to step in, step over, step over, step over. We'll print that data, green T and this number. Then here description is going to point to the next thing, or the next string. I'll step over. In this case it's probably empty. As you can see, it's showing that description is empty now, just 2 quotes. So while description is not equal to empty, well in this case it is, so now the loop's false. This whole block is going to get skipped till this line. Now we're going to close the file and the program's over. So there's our output. Hopefully you guys understood. If you guys liked the video, you can give me a thumbs up to support the channel. If you'd like to see more programming, coding, or investing videos, more languages, you can subscribe if you like, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.